I go drink to that.
We in the rum shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
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 So bring a rum, bring it come in the rum shop talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So bring a rum, bring it come in the rum shop talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's going in? Me? Good evening, welcome. Yeah, you're in the rum shop. That's how we drop it. David Welch giving me half our information, but no problem. Custom. That's how they just deal with me. We in the rum shop today. We apologize for missing last week. Stephen Matheson to blame. He will explain to you why. So as I say that, Stephen Matheson.
Yeah, good evening, listeners and viewers.
Back to the rum shop.
We are in the rum shop today, and we have I don't know if it's a caller, a guest, or a host.
She's a co-host.
What?
We have a co-host with us today.
I thought I was a
Why not?
guest.
Why? She here to take your calls, take your messages. Today we are adding something. That's what took us so long to start. We're adding a feature to the show today. And when we say we open the lines, if you have any issues along the lines of what we're talking about, and you would like to ask for assistance with matters, Indira will be taking your information. Right, Indira? That's your camera there.
Hi.
Okay, cool. Right, so back inside. Of course, the Rum Shop Talk is meant to be the lighter side of the serious things. So if you find that we laugh on things sometimes while we're dealing with somebody madness, that is why it is Rum Shop Talk. And trust me, it is so much serious issues that we deal with that it's nice to have a platform like this where we could just talk. Yeah, everybody have a pen but me. You need a pen. Watch our pen will magically appear. David Welch, and your pen. Come on this side. Come on this side. You're on the wrong side of the frame.
Man is not dancing when he can stretch his hands.
The magic didn't work. Alright. I consider that the magic. Nah, don't move. That's where the magic works. You see? David's Jedi trainee have it better. Right.
What's this one?
That's cool. Now all I need is paper. The Rum Shop Talk today, Mr. Matheson.
Yeah, so a lot has been happening. Maybe we should probably start with what's happening in the US with the recent midterms and the fact that
The wave.
the Democrats
the Republican
have more or
wave.
less defy all logic in terms of what usually happens at midterm. Usually the president, the party for which has the president, usually loses at midterms.
Incumbency is a burden.
Since 86 that has been happening.
Incumbency is a burden.
This time, for whatever reason, and I want to believe it is because of the Supreme Court judgment on women's rights, the abortion, I think that would have played a significant role in the more or less partial destruction of the Republican Party.
They blame the Republican for
Trump also has a lot to blame, to be blamed for that. But right now it's more or less a toss-up between Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker in the probably runoff at the January 6th that will determine who rules the Senate. The House is still at a toss-up.
too close to call.
Too close to call, but it looks to me like the Democrats will lose the House. But they more than likely will win the Senate, and that is going to be a good thing for Biden in this case.
Are you saying though that you think that this is an important issue to Trinbagonians?
Well, it is.
No, I'm just asking because are we still focused on what goes on in America to guide us. here in Trinidad.
Yeah, I hold the view that when America sneezes, we just catch a cold. the thing is, America or the world is going through a lot of turmoil right now.
Correct.
We see what is happening, and this has nothing to do with America, but we see what is happening with floods and that kind of thing. This is not germane only to Trinidad and Tobago.
Climate change
This
is
all
really-
over the world, and
it
it
is
has a lot
real.
to do with the El Nino phenomena and global
Yeah,
warming.
but you're not going to challenge you on that, right?
Right? In my opinion, it has a lot to do with the fact that the earth is warming, and a lot of things man are doing that are causing that to happen. So maybe we should start paying more attention to climate change.
Agreed.
And that is, I'm talking about governments.
I think that they say, I have read that the hole in the ozone is shrinking, but we've already crossed. There was a timeline where we were supposed to reverse the amount of carbon we were putting into the atmosphere. We had a time that if we didn't hit certain targets by that time, it would have been too late, that certain things would have had to happen, certain destruction would happen, and we're seeing it. The world's seeing it. And people don't want to accept that a lot of what business is doing is left pocket, right pocket decision making because they don't want to affect the bottom line. And at the end of the day, when we all die, locally in Trinidad or internationally, it will be because humans are more greedy than sensible.
Exactly.
Correct.
So profits over survival. That is what's taking place, profits over survival. But when you read that the number one contributor to greenhouse gases is the meat industry for the hamburger and beef industry, when you read that and you realize they're not taking any steps to reduce that, that's not changing. The meat industry puts more greenhouse gases into the atmosphere than all petrochemical based transportation combined.
I didn't know that. So
And it was scary to learn that.
explain that to me. How that is possible.
Animals, the amount of animals that
Don't
it
really
takes
okay.
when they
Yeah, but those animals
Look
are
really
those
upstairs.
animals are
It's a lot of
usually grown
food.
in incubators and
Still.
in-house farms and things.
Still.
They're not on the
Yeah,
it doesn't
but
matter
even to
where the
make
gas is
broiler
going.
chickens,
They're not
yeah.
trapping the gases and sequestering it.
Okay.
It's released to the atmosphere. Nobody's working out those numbers. But we are, and I'm not advocating here for a vegetarian lifestyle, don't get me wrong. But I was thinking this before actually when I was getting ready to come here today, and it's segue nice. Trinidad doesn't grow wheat, and we don't grow English potatoes here. Irish potato, whatever it is called, the white potato that we eat. We don't grow those things here. Somebody at some point in our history determined that that should be our diet. Now, that didn't come from Africa, and it didn't come from India. And the vast majority of people in this country always were the workers, be it when they were slaves, indentured, or otherwise. The largest population of Trinidad and Tobago, numbers to numbers, because the white plantation owners were always in the absolute minority. Yet, European diet dominates our food choices in Trinidad. Somebody made that decision, and what people need to understand is that wasn't made based just on taste. You have to convince people who are accustomed to a different culture to change their culture to accommodate this, and change is possible. So you know that. But they pursue that for profit.
Yeah.
When the world was an agrarian economy, selling your wheat and selling your potato, Trinidad was selling our sugar. And other countries were selling their spices and whatever, and contributing that to the melting pot of the world consumption. But mega farms growing wheat and then corn. Corn is a new.
Corn was a big thing.
Corn
like
big now.
Popcorn. No, it's
But corn was
crazy how
always
far that goes back.
corn was
The
always
reason
part of-
corn is huge now is they allowed corn to usurp what was cane sugar's role of global agriculture. They're using corn to make high fructose corn syrup, which is what is used now as a sweetener in all soft drinks and jams and jellies and candies and all of those things. But that used to be sugar from sugar cane. They wipe out sugar cane to sell corn sugar. It's making the same point. From a business point of view, somebody set out to make that profit. And that's why Trinidadians eat flour. I was thinking, why we eat so much flour? Flour is so fattening.
Flour is so dangerous. Flour is
It's
so
not
much,
healthy.
Hey,
so much
Olive,
sugar.
bread is life. Please don't.
You see?
It is so much
Bread
sugar.
is life.
And
Bread is
I
life.
don't tell you wrong.
And bread is death also.
Yeah. Well, you live on a night, so what are you gonna do?
that sugar addiction, people don't know bread is sugar. People don't know flour is sugar.
Yeah.
That the carbs in flour, your body reacts to the same way it reacts to sugar. And so that's why she's saying bread is life, because it's a sugar high. But my whole point is that, and I wanted to take this away from that conversation, is that, and I was thinking of this on my way here, why aren't we looking at using that same methodology to reintroduce a healthier diet that can grow hair?
Yeah.
Why aren't we doing that? Because whatever they did, and when they want to introduce something, I remember this boy, when I hear Taco Bell, I thought it was the name of a company, but the man's name was Bell. His first company was Taco Tia. And then he and the fellow fall out and I went out of business and he opened up Taco Bell. But he wanted to create a market outside the burger market because he couldn't play in the burger market when the restaurant business in America was growing. And he got them to taste Mexican corn fare as food. That wasn't a big thing in America. Now it is added to other restaurants fare, quesadillas and taco chips and all those kind of things. That is marketing. Marketing is setting out to say, we produce this and we want people to consume this. That's marketing. We're not engaging in that in Trinidad. When you go into a supermarket, 99% of the supermarket is imported, even the fresh produce section.
Which is rubbish.
Yeah, and that is unfortunate. That is unfortunate. But the thing is, the world goes on. Our politicians need to wake up and realize what is important and what is not for the people. And for some reason, they aren't. And that is one of the problems.
But diabetes, our Ministry of Health is so impotent. No. When we have floods, you know we get a spike in people getting illness, leptospirosis. That is from rats and other women, right? Other women. But leptospirosis kills, or if you survive it, it damages you for life and it destroys your organs and stuff. And there are no public service announcements to the level that it should be to tell people avoid flood water. Trinidadians just think, if I can walk in it, it's safe. But it's not just that. There are a lot of things in flood water, and then there's the impact of that same thing on food. Telling people when you buy fresh produce, how to clean it to make sure, because you're not cooking it. And if you're not cooking some of these vegetables, tomatoes, cucumbers, lettuce, kale, if you're eating that raw, if you don't know how to properly clean it,
What is it? You're supposed to soak it in water or
You could
something with
soak
some
it, yeah.
bleach or something?
I'm not sure what bleach.
I sound like Trump.
It's not like Trump, yeah. Introducing bleach to the diet. I am disassociating myself from that comment. Do not wash your food in bleach. But actually, you joke and fun aside, there is a formula for how much bleach to how much water.
Yeah.
Because that is what you're supposed to clean restaurant surfaces and things like that.
Or probably even vinegar.
You could use
Vinegar.
vinegar and
Vinegar,
water,
yeah.
yeah.
I think
That's
but what
fine,
I
that's
don't
good.
know is if it has a positive impact on those foodborne diseases. And I would tell Trinidadians, for the weeks, 2-3 weeks following bad flooding, don't eat no food raw.
I agree.
Don't take that chance. If you don't know how to research how to clean our food, and
Exactly.
generally, vegetables and fruits. You should clean apples. Apples is come in a layer of wax.
The
Yeah,
one
wax.
coating, yeah.
And
You
you
see
eat that
it.
just so, which hardens the arteries.
That's
and
carcinogen,
stuff,
yeah.
Correct.
Again, our Ministry of Health not telling nobody that this is supposed to be done.
And that's just to preserve it or keep it longer ripe in the ripe state.
No, but
Delay
isn't
ripening while it's
isn't
ripe.
that the shitty thing though, that even though the government tells you that it has wax on it, somebody's producing it like that.
No, that's the
So-
delay. That's the slow down
Yeah.
the ripening process
Yeah,
while they ship
while
it to
they
you.
ship it.
Correct, but that shouldn't be the case.
It's about- well, that wouldn't be the case.
Because
Because it-
apple
it's
is,
just
apple is
naturally
supposed
not
to
good
ripe
for you.
and remain for months and still and not rot. After ripe is rot.
Exactly, so you
it
basically
really
eating
should rot
something
right
that's
after it ripe.
you know.
So you're bringing it back to the point because I am sure if you do a test to see how much apples sell in Trinidad as opposed to pomerancs, I'm sure apples outselling it 10-1.
Yeah, which is
But if
shitty.
we had a pomeranc industry in Trinidad, we'd save all the foreign exchange that's being spent on apples. We would not have that wax issue because straight from the tree, we eating it ripe.
yeah.
Straight from the tree to the supermarket shelf to the price of a pomeranc, if we had a pomeranc industry, would be $1. They have apples that sell in the grocery that are $30 for one apple.
I didn't see that one. But the thing is,
You see that one?
Right.
I buy in grapes, I'm telling you, real black grapes are
That's
very,
crazy.
very healthy.
yeah, that but you get about almost a kilo of that at price man for about $58 somewhere around there.
But for some reason, the price man grapes are not taste good. But I see this tray of grapes in a Massey store. And I started about to count the grapes for the price. Because it was
You
like,
have time.
no, it's not a lot. It was like $42 for the tray. And it had about 20 grapes in it. I said, $2 a grape. You know, chew this slow.
Okay.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, that is massive. Okay.
Yeah,
But
yeah, true.
if you look at it, right, government does not make land available for farmers to grow food. They are not putting any incentives in place. Why aren't we growing long-term crops? Government could work with the farmers to encourage them to grow a certain percentage of long-term crops. Mango, guava, pomegranate, breadfruit, soursop. Those are hardy trees.
We used to have those things like on those incubation farms like Centeno and
Right.
Balsane and that kind of thing long ago.
Okay.
I don't know what has happened to that, but I know the government have some like incubation programs right now with youths. I think it's between the age of 18
Yeah,
and
I think I
25,
saw something like that.
where you they pay you to go to school for I think it's a year in one of those agriculture programs, and after they give you I think it's 2 acres of land or something like that,
Okay.
and you have to stay there and you get a starter house and that I heard that. I don't know how
Okay.
well it is.
I was watching something
you
about
know.
it, but I want to tell you
But-
something. We have
but-
90,000 acres of known farmland in Trinidad. We have
But I
30
just want to say, if that is structured, right, that everybody don't want to plant lettuce or cucumbers, and we plant enough to feed us and the Caribbean, then that would make sense.
Brother, tying the whole conversations together. Trees like a mango tree. A mango tree sequesters a lot of carbon because how trees work is they turn carbon dioxide into oxygen. So it is of benefit to us. Trees take up a lot more space than short crops, wheat, corn, that kind of stuff. But if we had in this country, and we were talking farmland there, right? But we have removed the rainforest cover that this country had. Queen's Park Savannah has a lot of trees. None of those trees are food-bearing trees, not one.
Yeah.
Why isn't every other tree in the savannah a food-bearing tree? Everywhere that we have idle land, the whole of Shagaramas, why are we such a frangipani culture when we could be planting pomegranate, guava, soursop, breadfruit all over the country and drive the price of that food almost to nothing so that people cannot starve? People will tell you, if you plant mango tree in the savannah, vegan will pick all the mango. That's foolish talk. If mango common like gravel on the ground, nobody buying no mango from no vagrant, so they have no incentive for no vagrant to go and pick all the mango. We think stupid, we just knee-jerk reaction with our thoughts. If you put a volume of food, and these things, these fruit trees, when I say they're hardy, you don't have to wet them, fertilize them, talk to them, mold them, prune them. A mango, a breadfruit tree, somebody worked on the arithmetic, they said a breadfruit tree would feed a family of 4 for 75 years. That's a lot of food from one tree.
Yeah.
So that if you do the math, you tell yourself, there are 1 million people in Trinidad and Tobago. If I wanted breadfruit to impact on flour and corn, I'd have to plant 200,000 breadfruit trees. 200,000 breadfruit trees could grow in Chagaramas alone. We do not have a proper food plan. If you did that, you would save foreign exchange. We've had this conversation before. You'd save foreign exchange. You'd provide employment. You'd provide avenues of entrepreneurship as people want to get into making breadfruit chips and breadfruit flour and breadfruit pie and whatever.
Exactly.
Right? People would come up with creative ways to downstream the same food that you're growing. Your public health bill will collapse. You will no longer have to spend $5 billion fighting cancer, heart disease, ischemic stroke, diabetes, which are the top killers of Trinidadians and Tobagonians, and they are all lifestyle and diet.
Well, you remember we
Right.
said that we talked a lot about that just before the budget. And we said that if the government was thinking, I mean, we are third world economy, if the government was thinking, they would have probably concentrated a lot on agriculture. Instead, they put $1.3 billion in agriculture. And the Prime Minister said that's a private sector thing. To me, that was another foolish statement, because government have to guide the direction of where you want your country to go.
Correct.
And if you want your country to go to feed itself, you have to guide that. You have to, that has to be a vision.
Exactly.
So you saying that as a private sector thing is just like saying there's nothing wrong with the rich getting richer, that trickle-down economics kind of thing. And the poor, they will feed the poor. That is just nonsense.
You know who invented trickle-down economics?
Reagan?
Ronald Reagan. And then Ronald Reagan ballooned the United States deficit to the point where it took Bill Clinton to just balance the budget, just to stop.
Right, and look what's happening right now in the US with the Republicans. They seem to be harvesting that same kind of trickle-down economics thing, because they are saying give the rich more, tax them less, and the economy will revolve. It does not work like that, especially in Trinidad and Tobago. When rich people get a lot of more money, they invest it in things,
But
they send it
forget all that.
abroad,
If
they
the
do
rich
all that.
controlling the politicians, the rich will have the politicians saying what the rich want.
Exactly.
But it is the
No,
poor.
but it doesn't even serve the rich. It doesn't even serve the purpose of the rich, because when you give poor people money, what they do, they spend it. And if you're spending it, who will spend it on?
No, you
Rich
see, if
people business.
you have poor people, they're dependent on you. And the size of
Well,
your-
right. So you're talking about the dependency, but I mean,
But you could ask Indira, housewives could drive this. Women, I mean, I'm not being sexist, but the majority of food cooked in the country, still outside of the food industry, in the homes, is done by women. Women could be part of a stakeholder group consulted by government to involve changing lifestyles. You have to have a 20, 30-year vision for the country. You have to care about people that will be will be living in this country long after you're dead and gone.
Exactly.
You have to care about people that children. When you look at what children have as options for breakfast, what Kellogg set out to create for as cornflakes.
let me don't talk about that.
No, but
Because,
but I'm just saying. So look at it. Waffles and corn syrup, because that's what it is. Waffles and corn syrup.
Yeah, but still, that is rich people food. What you say? What poor people have for breakfast? That you still can't afford that. The choices we have for breakfast is a hops and probably some jam or some butter or something, which is very expensive still. Right?
Yeah.
That's the option
No,
for
but people should
most
be
people in
eating
trying to
fruits
be
and
able
stuff
to
for
eat.
breakfast.
Cereal is being sold as that idea as the ultimate economy food, but it is not healthy, and it is being sold as healthy. You could take in Trinidad You could take a bottle of Gramazone and put on it now with vitamin C. And they will let it go. They will let you market that. There's nobody saying.
I know some people who might try that.
There's nobody saying, but you can't put vitamin C in. But you're putting vitamin C in pure sugar and flour. That's what it is. When you walk down the aisles of a grocery, work out how much of the shelf space is dedicated to flour, corn, sugar, and salt in some permutation.
And that's what we're saying. We talk a lot about this before the budget, and what we're saying is, as I was just saying to Indira, you know, bread is not really a good idea. Bread is pure sugar, insulin resistance we're talking here.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you're talking about dialysis, you're talking about kidney problem, you're talking about obesity, you're talking about all kind of things for which the government spend a lot of money in the healthcare system, which they could have reversed. They could easily reverse over time by changing the culture. And how you do it, probably you can make certain things very expensive by taxing it or putting tariffs on it.
But what do you need to do that? All you need to do is level the play field. I was in where we was Pinal,
and make certain things.
We was in Princess Town, and I said, why isn't there a chain of restaurants that I can go wherever I am in the country and get rice and dal and bodi and stew chicken?
Yeah.
Why is it so easy to get KFC chicken?
No, well, that's a business thing.
It's not just a business thing. What I'm saying to you, no, that's not economics. What that is on the other side of the pond.
Because you have a lot of people doing that too.
Brother, on the other side of the pond, the people who are involved in controlling global economies want consumption globally to be, when they set out a vision statement for their business, they say to be the preferred choice at food decisions, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, we need to answer that. We need a government that makes it possible for people to be able to offer healthier food options. When we had the little boom with El Pecos and the rest of them with food by the pound, it brought Creole food options back into the market. And I was hoping that would boom. I was hoping that
But you know why it didn't boom? Because it's too expensive. You ever tried to buy food by
veggies and stuff
Pecos?
really, it's very
And now you
unfortunate how
tell me
expensive that
how,
is.
But you tell me how something that using predominantly local food ends up more expensive than companies that have to find foreign exchange and import all of the ingredients for the McDonald's and the Burger King and the Subway.
That's what we're talking about.
Nothing in
That's
Subway.
cheaper.
It's not cheaper. Nothing. It's subsidized, and other economic realities are brought to bear on it, including money laundering in this country.
Okay,
There are things like, because the government, at the end of the day, you said it earlier, the government sets the tone. The government sets the tenor.
Right, by the policies,
But the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Health is supposed to make a proper presentation.
Well,
So that the Ministry of Sport,
listen,
Ministry of Health, Ministry of Social Development, look at those three ministries.
if you have a business, and you remember we had a show at a time and I said that maybe we should start thinking about running the country like a business, and I think it was Ford Khan, was it? Ford Khan, somebody was on the live with us, one of those ex-ministers, and said, no, we can't do that, we can't run the country like a business. But my idea of running the country like a business is this. It's not necessarily running. I mean, you have to you have to have some level of socialism in running a country, right? In a democratic state. But listen.
You see these statements here as make. I can't sit here and let you make it, but I
Just
understand.
allow me to finish.
I understand what you're trying to say.
Finish.
All right.
Allow me to finish.
I will write down big.
What I'm
because I need the public to notice that I objected and you silenced me.
No. But what I'm saying.
You silenced me, Mr. Matteson.
What I'm saying
right.
is this: if you have a vision, when I say run the country like a business, your business or normal business. Well, most of the time in Trinidad they do that. They don't have strategic plans and things. And even if they have strategic plans, just to say they had one.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you run your country with a vision, right, a real vision, right, taking into consideration all the needs of all the people, right, and you have a mission and a strategic objective to go with it, and you start trickling that down to all your ministries and how you one vision, one strategic plan for the whole country, not one for each ministry. And you start running your country, taking into consideration all the things that are needed by the people, all the things that you need to make the country a real engine running synergistically. You wouldn't be having these kind of discussions. You wouldn't be having these kind of problems. Real countries do that.
Could I inject?
Real countries.
Do you know that there is a website in Trinidad and Tobago that shows you how to run this country with all things working together in the best interest of all the people? www.21policies.com. Visit that website. Viewers, visit www.21policies.com and see if it doesn't agree with everything Mr. Matteson just said. And the only reason I want to point out the word socialism that you used just now is because it has become a bad word in politics, like communism and those words.
Especially in the US.
Right. So we have to be careful in a country where the narrative is controlled by who control the biggest sounding boards, and that usually is the media. And I don't want them to say that I let you say something and I didn't object. So I want to say this though. Capitalism without compassion is a prescription for confusion. You need to make sure that your policies leave none of your people behind. It cannot just be based on the bottom line. It cannot just be based on profiteering, because in a quick time, all of the nation's resources will be concentrated in a small group on the top, and everybody else would starve and die.
I just want to say this. You know Mussolini, right?
I didn't know him personally.
No. Well, Phil remember the history. But Mussolini, in the early stage, before he teamed up with Hitler, he killed more people than Hitler killed over the period. In the early.
Wow.
And
yeah, but then Hitler said, hold my beer.
Yeah. And then Hitler did what he did, right? And bring him, because he thought Hitler was a fool, right? When Hitler had invited him the first time to Hitler there wasn't even the rise of Hitler as yet.
Yeah.
But the thing is...
But wait, you also have to remember Chamberlain, who was the Prime Minister of Great Britain, was the great appeaser, and because of him, Hitler was allowed to rise to global prominence.
But Mussolini helped him a lot. And the thing is, you know what Mussolini was loved for in the early stage? Because Mussolini was a little bad little boy in school and that kind of thing. He was a little...
I don't know much about it.
But Mussolini, trains running on time, was the ethos of Mussolini's existence. And then Mussolini, people loved him for that. Trains running on time. That was a big thing for him. On time.
So you're killing people, but
listen.
Train running on time.
Yeah, but listen. But listen. He was killed by his own army and hung in the square. He and his wife.
Play a long time.
After he did what he did, and he started killing the Jews and keeping up with Hitler and all that kind of thing. But what I'm saying is, sometimes
you make some big statements,
and
you can't leave them languishing. It was a wrong act.
Yes.
You cannot build your policies on murder.
Right.
And you have to also add that when you speak.
Right.
Continue.
Right. And what I'm saying is, it is like we are saying that also, because when you think about, sometimes what we're talking about here about agriculture and what the government should probably do to run a country that
you're
is...
saying that the government is engaged in bottom line policy.
Yeah, and
bottom line, you must never, somebody said, this is not my quote, but I love this quote. You must never judge the performance of an economy by how well the rich are doing.
Exactly.
You have to know how the poor are doing. That is your major concern.
Exactly.
I want to quote you again when you said that the tone and the tenor of the society is the function of the government. The well-being of the citizens is the purpose for government. And the government needs to understand that if diet affects quality of life and health, and then it takes $5 billion out of the economy every year to chase after it through the public health system or through our next $2 billion in social development as when people drop dead. And you understand what I'm trying to tell you? They have to find different ways to subsidize who was the breadwinner in the family. The government needs to take a look at all of these things. The Ministry of Sport should be renamed the Ministry of Lifestyles. You should be able to positive, healthy lifestyles. You should be using the Ministry of Sport to help. And in big countries like Japan, even China, their ministries of sport make sure that spatial planning, you can't just go and build 500 houses and not accommodate where the green space is for the people to go and have exercise. Because that is important to quality of life. There is a community or country or town in the Mediterranean where the people live, all the people are over 100. Everybody lives beyond 100, and it is the diet, and they walk everywhere.
Yeah.
They walk up and down in the bright sun whole day.
That's
They live
important.
their diet. Now is a big thing. They talk about the Mediterranean diet. The Mediterranean diet is pick it from the tree and eat it. Pick it from the tree and eat it. Portion control. Americans want to sell you food. We started talking about food when they started advertising quarter pound, half pound, Big Mac, Whopper. All of a sudden, everything was about volume. A human stomach is the size of your fist. Size of your fist. We've been misled and led astray. All of us. All of us who did not know better and had to find this information on our own and then try to change comfort food. People ask me what food makes you think of family and happiness and everything is okay, and for me, a nice big fat roti. But they have nothing healthy in that. I mean,
except the curry.
the curry inside. I mean, the curry
Yeah.
inside. Okay, but it is cancelled out by the purified butter flour roti. That roti.
No,
and
no,
the
no,
rest
no,
of
no.
it-
If it is people
This is-
are making a roti with ghee, it is healthier.
That
Oh,
is purified butter.
Clarified butter
yeah, but
is
that's
actually
yeah, but that's
healthier
that's
than
just
regular butter.
yeah,
no,
but that's
no.
Concentrated butter.
Google it. That's all I'm
but
saying.
that's
I
just the
swear,
butter.
Google it.
That's just the butter.
No,
There are
I'm
other
just
other
saying.
components.
Easy,
No,
doctor,
no, no,
easy,
no,
Dr. Google. Easy, Dr. Google.
No, I'm serious.
But you know, that being said, you know,
Frying flour is never good for you. And frying it in ghee, frying it in pig fat for pie, whatever. Frying flour, all I'm saying is that in my mind, a roti, I used to remember, boy, when we come home from school, if the house smelling a curry, you know we eating roti, especially in Basap shop. We used to get we had this big silver basin. And we used to put it in the middle of the table, and it's just full of all the Basap shop. You just take as you need. And eating around the table with the whole family eating Basap shop, everybody was happy. And it's so I grew up with that memory in my life that every time I want to be happy, eat a roti. That is what comfort food is.
Correct.
So our version of comfort food in Trinidad, and everybody have some version of fried flour. Everybody have doubles and pie and shack and bake and roti. We eat too much flour in Trinidad.
yeah,
and
and
we can't afford it.
the thing is, it's not wrong to eat it. I mean, you could eat it, but give your body the
Moderation.
opportunity
Time.
to deal with it. You eating that whole day, all the time,
Moderate-
rice, flour, everything is sugar.
Every meal,
Yeah.
every meal.
Putting the
every
stress
meal,
on your
every
organs,
meal,
your
every
kidneys,
meal.
all that kind of
Every
thing,
meal.
and that is
But again,
that is
you have to
unfortunate.
But
think that that's what they teach
But
you.
the Africans and the Indians melded their cultures together, and that is how we got things like dashing bush oil down. That is like a nuclear bomb of nutrition.
Yeah.
When you eat a bowl of that, you come out of that, all your organs inside your body saying, yes, we're going to the Olympics. You understand what I'm saying? A breadfruit is the only low glycemic starch. I mean, I can't say this enough. It stabilizes your blood sugar.
Yes,
The rest of them spikes it.
It does.
The rest of them spikes it. It is the only white starch that stabilizes blood sugar. It is the opposite of diabetes. We need more breadfruit in our diet. And a breadfruit tree does grow like it's growing for spite. You cut down a breadfruit tree and come back in 2 years, it start back to grow again.
Yeah.
It wants to grow. It wants to give you food.
Yes.
It does. And we in Trinidad, now people, we are a politically lazy bunch of people. So we don't pay attention to these things, and we don't tie the $5 billion public health and the bad performance of the hospitals and all of that to what we're eating and what we're choosing, and we don't understand that we get to choose what the groceries sell. If people go in the groceries and don't buy those things, but again, we get into a place in the country where choice is so limited that you can't even dictate anymore. The price, somebody share a bag of oranges today on Facebook and going viral, where one orange is $6.
Yeah.
How are people on fixed incomes and minimum wage which is about half the population, if not
Can't
more.
eat healthy.
How are they coming?
You have to buy tin shit, literally, and that's not good.
But you saw on another note, you saw the joint select with
Switching gears, right?
Yeah.
Because I want them to know I was waiting for this. Because I know I sent to David Welch the Keith Scotland Rudal Munidal exchange. And I hope Mr. Welch can run that.
I saw that, but I didn't see it, but I read it, part of it, and I find it to be very interesting. The whole, what the government appears to be want to do at the end of this is probably to make new regulation on how people acquire fuel. The thing is, the main premise of the government argument is that the Commissioner of Police seem to have been given out firearms without the necessary checks and balances, I just saying, and those firearms are ending back up on the street. They give the figures between 2017 and 2020, how many firearms were used in crime. I think it's 100 and something, 115 or something like that. And I find that premise to be unfortunate because Munilal actually caught the Minister National Security lying.
Okay, but if I can answer, if I can answer one of the things you just said there, right? The FUL system. Now, I have been hitting Gary some licks in the past couple of weeks. I want to defend him today. The FUL system that Gary inherited, Gary didn't create.
Exactly.
In fact, it was Gary who brought up in the public space, and I will say this, it was Gary who brought up in the public space that the granting of a firearm user's license should not be the sole remit of a commissioner of police. It should be a licensing committee, and I agree with him on that.
But not only that, I mean, you have a right to own a firearm.
Especially in a country.
Yeah, given special conditions.
Listen, all this crap they're talking.
There's no law that says you can't own a firearm.
All this crap they're talking in a country
that.
where there are 40,000 illegal firearms, and we know that because those words came out of the Prime Minister's mouth. So we know that we are in danger. The right to defend yourself.
And it shouldn't only be necessarily a businessman. Anybody
Well,
who feels that
But
they're
first, I want them to hear me say these words. The government and the opposition have referred to the police service as rogue, corrupt, the largest gang in the country. So the public that cannot rely on the government or law enforcement to protect it have a right to be able to protect themselves. And if you take away that right, it can be said that you are putting the public in danger.
Exactly.
The FUL system, while it is not perfect, until you have a better one, you have to find a way to make it possible for people to defend themselves. The candlelight movement that we were a part of, they got 128,500 signatures on a petition, physical signatures. Ask the government to fast track firearm users' licenses for women.
Yeah.
Fast track it so that people will think twice about trying to abduct women after the newspaper run 3 article, bandit shot dead.
No, but you seen with the outside woman, your woman might kill it too, you know.
But that's
Well, that's
your
fault.
fault.
That's your
the
fault.
first-
That's just your fault.
The first 3 months,
Take 2 in Nika.
the first 3 months, Darwin's rules of natural selection will settle that. All the outside women, all the outside men, and yeah.
No.
Clean up his
I mean,
mess.
you're correct because I mean we thought
That is a joke,
we,
he was
we
joking.
thought
Yes,
we
no,
thought
yeah,
that
don't do that.
marijuana, for instance, people that smoke more marijuana have a problem with marijuana. People smoking if you make it
Decriminalized.
decriminalized.
Yeah.
What you have happening? You don't have any problem with it still. The same thing exists that
Who want to smoke will smoke.
yeah, who want to smoke will smoke.
But I've said that.
So the thing is, I would agree with Munilal that the point Munilal was making, and I think Gary was making also, is not the fact that a minister shouldn't refer somebody for a fire. But don't behave like
Okay,
it's
but-
a wrong thing and you doing it.
Stick up in there because then we deal with the 2 issues. We come back to the actual issue of responsible gun ownership and the right to bear arms and all of that. Let me deal with the fact that the Minister of National Security was caught lying to a joint select committee of Parliament. He lied. And there should be a serious consequence to that. If that is not a chargeable offense in Trinidad,
In the US,
this is not a real country.
In the US, it is. You can't do that before.
But you
Senate in the
cannot.
US.
They should revoke his privileges today, and without privileges, he cannot be a minister.
Yeah.
Revoke it. fire him.
He said he can't remember.
No.
But you have a text.
He said he can't recall.
Yeah, he can't recall.
You can't recall, but Gary recalled though. Gary put the information in public space. He lied.
Yeah.
Fitzgerald Hines was lying, but he's an inveterate teller of untruths because he knows he went through all that circuitous back and forth trying to get firearm user's license for his friends and his detail and whoever. And he went on to mention when he was working in the firearm department, when he was a police officer, you know, he spoke about all of that. I have all of the transcripts. And I thought to myself, how could this man, but this is a...
All of that to prosecute Gary. For what? Under Gary. You know, I heard...
But should Hines be fired?
Should any politician be fired?
Should he be fired? We can't continue to do this, what Avenel Hector Joseph called whataboutism. We can't just absolutism.
Of course.
We can't keep
all of
everything
them, in my opinion, are unethical.
Armour shouldn't be Attorney General because he lied. He lied.
All of them are unethical.
The country.
But they prosecute people, other people, the citizens, for doing the same thing. The thing is, I listened to a big, huge supporter of the PNM, always on Facebook and TV and things, said that we blame the government for crime, but we're not blaming all those young ladies that making children, making monsters, that was the word she used, for criminals, and that causing the spike in crime. So, and I was asking, I asked the question, I said, so listen, when Gary Griffith was Commissioner of Police and the UNC was in office, when the UNC was in office, or when Gary Griffith was Commissioner of Police,
he was Minister of National Security.
Yeah, there wasn't, those girls wasn't making children for monsters or making monsters.
Wait, look at them, look at them. If you're taking away guns,
they stop making children.
If you're taking away,
they stop making children at that time.
So what are they advocating?
I don't know.
Are they demonizing vaginas?
Well, I'm trying to figure out what it is
because
saying.
You're taking away legal guns because it might lead to crime. Are you going to take away legal vaginas? It is the nonsense that's coming out of the government. They run out of things to blame. So now they're blaming women's choices. I mean, I read somebody who said that if you have a bad breakup, report it to the police so that there would be a file in case of any violence on the road. And that was probably the stupidest thing I've ever heard anybody say. And the fact that the media ran it shows that the janitor from Guardian Media is the person okay in the stories. Now, they can't have a real editor. A real editor would have asked this person, how many breakups? I mean, the name of the thing is a breakup. How many of them are good? How many of them are fun? How many of them don't involve cussing and slamming down, throwing down things? Breakup is never nice. Very few people said, babe, I love you, you know. It's sweet. I'm going my own way. And she said, you know what? If that makes you happy, darling. That is not how breakups occur. So the police will now be investigating breakups. That is the madness.
No, but it's
but one thing
breakups. It's important for the police to investigate
because
breakups.
they have some people that are totally psychotic and they know this is a reality. And we live in Trinidad. Same people who have illegal guns.
How do you find out? Or you know what? Like how they have the sexual predator law where you have to be put on a list.
We have that here.
You should have some kind of tattoo that psychos get on their forehead. So when they go out and they try to date people, girl children, you know up front, it's like the Minister of Health says smoking causes cancer. And you say to hell with that, I smoking. That's your choice. If you see on this man's head, this man is psycho, subject to random acts of violence.
You're being ridiculous.
And you still dating. I being ridiculous? I'll tell you something. Tell me a lie. Ask psychiatrists this. Most women have this idea that they could transform bad boys into good boys. If you are a good boy and you're doing all the right thing, you wearing your church shoes 7 days a week, you have no chance.
But
it is the bad boys who get themselves in trouble. You just get all the girls. So it is women to blame.
But men just do the same thing. Some men just feel like a transformer woman.
True.
Same way. So it's a people thing.
Men don't claim as bad girl, good girl. Once you're a girl, men have. But women have the power, and you're making a good point. Women have the power. If women today started dating men who drive in ox cart, BMW and Benz will be making ox cart. Women determine, if women said, I ain't dating no man who have less than 7 A's, boy, library and beating book will be fashionable. It will be fashionable. The reason the opposite occurs, check it out yourself. Society is self-regulated, and if you really pay attention to it, what we focus on, that is what grows. What we pay attention to, what we give our preference to. Women have the power. Men's whole life, the first 3/4 of your life, men just trying to find different ways to get women interested in them. And anything women want. Carnival. Do men care about carnival? Men care about carnival because they are naked women in carnival. Well, almost naked women in
Oh
carnival.
my gosh, no, it's basically naked now.
Basically naked. If they didn't have women in carnival, you think men was going to carnival? Without women in carnival, carnival is 10 P-truck park up on the side of the road and Marshall saying who. That's all as was carnival. Alive? Alive? Tell me if I lie.
No, you're not.
I say, who? That carnival. A P-truck, 2 rum truck, nobody going. Dinakin is a billionaire of women in G-strings. Ally, that is what's selling. And women so stupid. Women so stupid. They are the entertainment in carnival.
Yeah, but the pain don't go
they pay to imagine you join a concert and the act come to pay you to play.
Yeah.
That's what women doing. You all have made these people billionaires to show off your God-given gifts that they would gladly pay you. I used to be a promoter, and I telling you something. Women free. If you print a flyer and it says women free, men come in to pay any kind of money.
True.
And you're charging men twice what they would normally pay because
one
each of them paying for one.
I used to party a lot. There's a club in St. Augustine's do that, by the way. A club named, I can't remember the name of the club, but they do that. Women free.
Yeah, no, but
But the
that's
charging
the
a man
catch in it.
almost double what you would
Because
normally
every
pay.
man who coming in paying for one and free woman
Yeah.
inside, right? No problem at all. But that shows you that it works. And the day women, I've been saying this for my whole life. The day women woke up and realized their power to shape society, and I had to put this on y'all are to blame. Nah, just joking.
But let me go back to this
Fitzgerald Hines and the FULs.
yeah, and this FUL thing. I think people
Let David run the clip.
I think people are
You gotta
entitled.
run the audio, so let me run the clip so that they hear Fitzgerald Hines denying. You have the pictures, you have the images also. You want me to send that to you?
On the policy issue of whether ministers ought to be recommending persons for FUL. You indicated then that you had no recollection that you recommended persons. Minister, I'm inviting you to reflect on that and to correct yourself.
I'm saying I have no recall of recommending anybody for any firearm.
My question to the Honourable Minister is, Minister, on a more relaxed reflection, you recommended 10 persons for firearm to the then Commissioner of Police, and I leave it there.
I want the record to read. I made no recommendation to any commissioner for anybody for any firearm. I can explain in greater detail, but it would be risky and foolish and stupid, and I will not follow
there's
that
greater
trend.
detail.
However,
there is greater detail.
suffice it to say, I recommended no one for no firearm.
On the policy issue of whether ministers ought to be recommending persons for FUL. You indicated then that you had no recollection that you recommended persons. Minister, I'm inviting you to reflect on that and to correct yourself.
I'm saying I have no recall of recommending anybody for any firearm.
My question to the Honourable Minister is, Minister, on a more relaxed reflection, you recommended 10 persons for firearm to the then Commissioner of Police, and I leave it there.
I want the record to read. I made no recommendation to any commissioner for anybody for any firearm. I can explain in greater detail, but it would be risky and foolish and stupid, and I will not follow
there's
that
greater
trend.
detail.
However,
there is greater detail.
suffice it to say, I recommended no one for no firearm.
it on me now? So here it is, right? These are screenshots from Gary Griffith's phone. These are screenshots from Gary Griffith's phone. And it's a WhatsApp from Heinz Fitzgerald 1. Good evening, Commissioner. Call me, please. Thanks. Gary responds, May 26, 2021. So, now saw a message. Up, could I call you? 12:25 a.m., like morning time, midnight. Fitzgerald Hines, okay, many thanks. May we have a short meeting tomorrow morning at 10:30. And one of the things they were discussing on this thing is about shutting down the vigils, and they don't know, but that come out too. I remember clearly putting a stop to all vigils. Trinidadians, it has jumped out. But anyway, you see why we're in a mess. Commissioner, what is the position with the applications for the guys on my detail? He just said, I want the record to show that I made. Gary said, sir, send me back the names and reference numbers, please. Sure, I will. Thanks. Wait, it gets worse. Here this one. Commissioner, I have a couple FUL applications for my security detail of soldiers. There is no objection from their warrant and the TTDF. I have watched them now for 2 years and I am satisfied that they are fit and worthy. They rotate with the Chief Justice's detail as well. Please give them your most favorable consideration. Should I send them directly to you?
And
Thank you.
And that.
That is the lie.
And that is it.
That's the lie.
That is it.
He lied.
And so it's not so much you giving the recommendation, because I mean it's all fine for somebody in high office to make a recommendation for somebody to help somebody, but you're saying that you never do it, and that to me is unfortunate. That to me is unethical.
Hear how worse it gets. Fitzgerald Hines continues. The others have not yet applied. I have the completed application forms. Should I send them to you? That is misbehavior in public office. The system. Wait, let me explain.
I don't think it's misbehavior.
I will show you why it is. I'll show you why it is misbehavior in public office. A firearm user's application has to be made to the police station in your district. They have to investigate you.
Yes.
They have to launch an investigation. You have to go and get psychological profile, permission from your family. They have to come to your house and see where the gun going and go. All that drama. What Fitzgerald Hines is saying is we will, you and me, Commissioner, me as Minister, you as Commissioner, we will bypass the checks and balances. This is not just him.
Right.
I want to make this point. This is not just him. He said he wants to go on record saying that he never asked for a firearm user license for anybody. This is not just him asking for help with somebody who is on the system, who has applied already and have an application number, you know. This is Fitzgerald Hines asking Gary to break the law.
Just now, listen. To break the regulation, to break the system. But listen.
That's a law.
Just now, listen. What I'm saying to you is that, to me, that is not a biggie for me. Right? Because, as Munilal would have said, all of them do it from time to time. Not just ministers, but senior police officers and that kind of thing.
Make it right.
Just now, I'm not saying make it right. I'm not saying make it right. What I'm saying is, to me, what is big in all of this is the fact that you could lie about it. You could have just said what I just said.
Brother man,
right?
Commissioner, 2 have file numbers. The others are also of the security detail, but their applications are languishing in police stations as noted. You know why it could be languishing? You don't know. Yeah. One could have a violence charge against them. One could be a problem that the wife don't want.
Or somebody paid 20,000.
Forget that first.
Because you had to pay that too.
No, you're muddy in the water. Trying to tell you, you can't keep saying that because other crimes exist, all crimes are okay. I'm saying to you, there is a system. We must hold to the system. We must stand for the highest performance. And until better can be done, let this continue, that there is a law. Now, the distance in time between when the police station approves you, because when the police station in your district approve you and they sign off saying they have no objections to you having a firearm, they've done all their checks, you're not a violent person, you're not beating your wife, you have no charges against you, that's what it's for. Fitzgerald Hines is saying, I could have criminals in my detail. Give them guns. He is the reason there is a problem.
Right.
No, but I need to say this. So that Joint Select Committee, what it exposed is Fitzgerald Hines is not only a liar, but he is willing to break the law. He conspired with the commissioner to break the law.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Alright, so
Fitzgerald Hines should be charged again. The Director of Public Prosecutions need to tell the people of this country what is the system, who has to write you, what is the system. Do I have to write the police?
Phillip, you know that they're going nowhere.
Do I report the police to the police?
Phillip, you know that they're going nowhere. You know that they're
Do I
going nowhere.
report the police?
You know that they're going nowhere. You saw the question. The president of the Police Welfare Association asked the
I don't know.
not the law association,
But Gary's response. Gary's response. No, not the redacted part. That's their names and addresses. Commissioner, 2 have file numbers. The others are also of the security detail. But their applications are languishing in police station as noted. Thanks. Gary said, we'll handle now, sir. Gary doesn't understand that when he answered, we'll handle now, sir, he busted that file on Fitzgerald Hines. But he busted a file on himself too. Because Gary was supposed to say, Minister, with all due respect, there is a system for a reason. You don't know if those people are domestic violence people and now you're putting a gun in their hand and go and shoot their wife. You have to wait for the police service to clear the person requested. Now I have to write the Director of Public Prosecutions again and ask him again to investigate these people. She taking a note because tomorrow I have to be reminded in a meeting that we have to write, and I hope Satish Ramsaran is watching the show so that Satish can begin the process of getting those letters ready. I hope Petronella Basley at Globe Law Chambers is watching the show because we need a letter to the Director of Public Prosecutions requesting investigation into all of this.
No, but the question I was asking is, if you saw, because this to me, this have to do with everything. If you saw the question that the president of the Police Welfare Association had asked the AG in response to the AG's revelation that they are now going to be holding, they are probably conspiring with legislation to hold police officers responsible for crimes committed against citizens, because the police complaint authority has indicated that a significant amount of police officers were implicated in crimes like murder and shooting, unlawful shooting and that kind of thing in the last year.
Why would it need a new law?
And just now, what they are saying now is that they are now, the government is probably now drafting laws to make police officers responsible and pay privately.
Forget about that.
Right?
They're responsible under the law. If you're talking about criminal
no,
acts,
the government. No, if a police officer do something.
so you're gonna charge the commissioner of police a price?
No. The commissioner of
paying that
police
money?
and the attorney general is sued.
Who's paying that
The
money?
state.
The state. So somebody who was done a wrong by a police officer, and the police officer is not charged, but I pursue a private action and the state pays me.
You pursue the attorney general.
This is just,
the attorney
again,
general.
this is what we do. We muddy the water, not you, I'm saying. The lack of understanding. If we had a proper internal affairs bureau,
But we do. We have a police complaints
you have
authority.
a police complaints authority. You have a police complaints division. You have a bureau of professional standards.
Yes.
Professional standards bureau. You have 3 departments that non-functional. Non-functional.
But I wouldn't say non-functional. No.
David West is the head of the police complaints authority, and David West said the police is the biggest gang in the country. What changed?
No, this brings me back to something that I would have said.
I would
earlier
like to
on.
clarify something here because I do not agree with David West. And I think it is very inflammatory that you could say that.
No, David West didn't say anything. David West, there's a report.
I am saying to you that when information like that comes into the public space, what it does is it paints all police bad. instead of removing the bad police from the service.
No. You confusing the whole thing. What the
I thought I was
government is
clarifying
doing,
it
what the
better.
government is doing, and in my opinion, is a good thing, right? Because it will save. If you make police officers responsible for the crimes they commit sometimes against citizens, right? Then we will be able to hold the police service or police officers, citizens who paying them, will be able to hold them at a higher
But why
standard.
isn't
And
that
what
done
I'm saying is, remember we had discussed about 3 shows ago that sometimes a police will give you a charge, some of the simplest charge, some nuisance charge like resisting arrest,
Obscene
language,
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
them kind of nonsense because
Because
you are
they
doing
could.
so-
Because they could. Because they could.
And I was saying that maybe if a magistrate will ask, before you charge, before you bring that man, before I prosecute that man, before I find that man or whatever, that person, show me your body cam. Show me what really
Absolutely.
happened, right?
Absolutely. And if you make,
So if you put that
brother man,
as part of legislation,
forget the law.
right?
Immediately from tomorrow, body cams, dashboard cams, internal affairs.
Exactly.
Body cam, dashboard cam.
So you
internal
shooting
affairs.
a man, and
If
you come in
block-
and you
if
reporting that man shoot at you, but you
Your-
have nothing to show. It's your
camera-
word against him, man.
Your camera is your defense.
Correct.
Make sure your camera clear. Don't block your camera and somebody come and say that you shoot them. You're not supposed to have access to the information in your camera. So body cams, I agree with you. But I want to tell you this, Mr. Matterson. Before we write any new laws, why don't we get busy enforcing the laws that we have?
No, correct.
Before you go to sue them for a private money matter, they should already be charged. And I think one should be contingent of the other. If the police officer is prosecuted and found to be guilty of manslaughter, murder, or whatever, then you should be able to sue the state. Enforce those criminal laws first. And I am not saying no, there are people in every arm of state. I said last night on my live video, there is no way you have 250,000 Venezuelans in Trinidad if the Coast Guard didn't let them in. Now you have to ask why. Did the Coast Guard abandon their job, or is the Coast Guard corrupt? We need to know.
No, they probably get the Coast Guard to Veni and say that I also
To Veni, I hear a maxi taxi down Venice because our Coast Guard boats will be moving Venice. That is what I hear. I don't know if it is true.
Oh my
but
God.
the evidence that we have is that our Coast Guard is not successful at blocking an invasion of 250,000 people. It's that reality. How could you have 40,000 illegal guns in the country, have a Coast Guard and a customs? How? How? What is preventing somebody bringing in something worse into this country? It is the grace of God securing us. Because what is stopping them from driving up the Caroni River with a nuclear bomb?
Oh
If
my
they
gosh,
wanted
I
to
was
blow up
thinking about
Trinidad.
that.
But I'm saying it. If the Coast Guard not guarding the coast, and I mean, of every job that exists, their job, clear in the title, your work is to guard the coast, we call it the Coast Guard. And if they're not, why? Why? We could secure the borders of this country tonight. Tonight, nothing in, nothing out. Before there was the technology that exists in this world, they put Cuba on a lock. Prior to them opening back Cuba, up to the 80s and 90s, if you had gone to Cuba, it was like a trip in a time machine, you know. Nothing newer than 1960. Nothing. All the cars, all the fridges, all the radios, all the TVs, all the stereos, all the air conditioning units, whatever. Anything that you own was from 50, 60 years ago. The Americans made it so that the island was completely cut off. Trinidad could be completely cut off if we wanted and secured so that only legitimate ports are called. I ask all the time. Yacht Club, Yachting Association, the man who owns a tool rental company in this country get vexed with me for saying this. But I have asked, when the big fancy Bertrams, including Colm Imbert's own, pull up in Yacht Club, who is there from any office of state to check and see what you're bringing in? What you're bringing in? How I know who your link up with outside? How do I know? You understand what I said? Yachting Association, Yacht Club, all the houses that have their own piers and their own jetties. Where is the
West Foreign by the
police?
Sea.
All from San Fernando. It's not just West Mountains by the Sea. It's not just Bayshore. They're known and notorious. But I'm saying to you, we've never operated the country seriously. And Trinidadians are outside there walking around like lemmings thinking, it can't fix, it can't fix, it can't fix, it can't fix, it can't fix. It can fix now. It can fix now. And between when I started off in politics and today, the technology is so far advanced, you don't even need humans on the Coast Guard boats to secure our border anymore. Sonar boys, cameras, drones.
It's like I saying you could buy a software in a box from the US to run Trinidad and Tobago. You could.
From the
we
first
are only 1.3 million people.
It's true, eh? They make
Serious?
it sound so terribly hard.
We buy $30,000 cameras. The Prime Minister admitted that he bought cameras for $30,000 each. What kind of camera is that?
$30,000 each.
$30,000 each.
And no legislation so that if you they
But
use
the
that camera
man
to charge a man.
He lied. He lied. They catch him lying dead to rights again.
No, but even if that is
There
the
is
case,
nobody for me to say, hey,
no, but even if that is the
Mr.
case,
Corruption Buster, please go and investigate the Prime Minister. I can't. There's nobody to call from the President down.
no,
Everybody
they probably pay that. No, they probably. I mean, you just had to pay. If I buy a camera, it might cost me about $300. If the government buying it, it may really cost
But
them
when
about
you-
30,000.
no,
No,
Because
but you're buying it in
But I will
bulk,
buy it
no?
to Matheson.
No, but what I'm saying is,
If I was the Prime
You're
Minister,
buying in
no,
more,
but
so
they
it'll
don't work
be
like that. You
cheaper.
remember in government service, you had to pay somebody. You had to pay about 3-4 people before you procure what you had to
okay, I
procure.
understand.
So really, actually, on the books, it might already cost them 30,000.
What exactly-
But in reality, it might have cost 300.
what exactly
Yeah.
are those payments, though?
Yeah?
What are those payments?
I
you're talking
mean, bribe or some kind
Oh,
of.
no,
Yeah,
yes,
that's
no,
what I
yes,
say.
No,
Because
somebody
if
has to
you
get
could-
paid to bring it upstairs.
Because if you spending $30,000 for a camera and you deploy those cameras in San Fernando and on the South Coast, we're supposed to be able to see Venezuela.
You're
Yeah,
supposed to see everything coming on the screen.
everything, ultraviolet, infrared, night
You're
vision,
supposed to see the bottom of the ocean and
night
all.
vision, everything. Do you know that you could rent? Hear me? I'm gonna tell Trinidadians something new. Do you know that you could rent satellite time? There are so many satellites in space now. You could rent camera space on a satellite
It's just like GPS.
and monitor our South Coast from space. And that the cameras, I guess they must be roughly $30,000 cameras, because from space, they could read the time on your watch. Clear as a bell.
Yeah.
We could secure Trinidad tonight with body cams, dashboard cams, and an internal affairs division. When I say an internal affairs division, not a single person should be a Trinidadian. All should be retired FBI, New York City Police Department, who had to transform the murder capital of the world to one of the #1 tourist destinations on the planet just by destroying crime. Kerrick and Bratton, them fellas, and everybody worked with them. There are thousands of ex-CIA agents and ex-Mossad and ex-FBI that looking for work. Bring them down here and tell them, look, because I have a
what
friend.
You had to ask yourself, Phillip. I mean, Trinidad and Tobago is not the only place. You have Honduras, you have all these other places that have really crime. Why is this they not doing that?
Brother, my job is to fix Trinidad, not Honduras.
Right?
My job is to fix Trinidad, and I'm telling you,
No, I just asking. I just asking.
same criminal politics, same 1% contract mafia, control politician, corruption. It is that. The camera didn't cost $30,000. When Gary said, we'll handle it, Gary don't know what he released in the public space. Gary is again complicit with the government. You ask me.
And this is in response to the vigils and things.
No, the man asked him, will you break the law with me? I have some members of my detail that don't even have an application. If they have an application, it's languishing in a police station. It's not approved. Will you fix it up for me? Sure, I will. Gary needs to address that.
Yeah, but that is not the purview of the commissioner of
It
police.
is only his.
Right.
Only the
So if
commissioner.
it's the commissioner of police, that's his purview, then he could handle it.
Brother,
He didn't break no law.
But brother, there is a system before it gets to the commissioner's desk. I say that to you again. Before it becomes the purview of the commissioner to sign off, the system is you have to be investigated and cleared by your police station.
So when he say he will handle it, he could easily say, well, I meant that I will fast track the application.
And fast track our investigation? Yeah, no problem.
Fast track the
But I'm
investigation.
saying to
These
you
things
again, I
happen.
want you to hear that all of these problems that are dogging this country could be fixed if we wanted to fix them. Trinidad doesn't work because it benefits people that it not work. Trinidad doesn't grow food, so Hadco and Amco and Massey and ADM and others could import billions of dollars of food and sell it to us at a pound and a crown. Our foreign exchange is depleted that way. Our foreign exchange is depleted by the movement of corruption dollars. The FIU should be answering for that.
Well, they had to do that, because these are the people who just come forward for election time. I see them sit down in Balize house waiting to spend the money. The public don't spend the money.
And
that Balize house, I always ask myself, where they getting that money to build that way?
That is the power of a raffle.
A raffle? Come now, man. Are you $2 billion? Somebody win the $2 billion raffle in the US out.
That is the power of a raffle. Watch me. The PNM is probably the PNM political party hierarchy is probably the most corrupt organization on planet Earth. What them forget, others are learn yet. PNM could thief milk and sugar out of coffee. The UNC went into power saying, I want to be like PNM. That's what they do. That's what they do. They bounce up one Alexandra place where Manning and Faris Al-Rawi and the Naus family engaged in Kakada to create a lease after the parliament was dissolved. And instead of the UNC holding them dead to rights, I have a message from a fella called Michael Nahus saving it. Where instead of the UNC holding them dead to rights and breaking the lease, Michael Nahus is the owner. You know, the UNC went and spent the $20 million upgrading it. It is a conspiracy.
And the billions are worth $2 million.
Brother.
And the government still own that building, right?
We really need rum in this rum shop, brother.
The government still own that building.
That would have been the case.
For about,
No, but
for about
these are
10
the
years,
things-
that building was rented.
No, but
and
these
never
are
used.
these are the things
Yeah.
the public, you had to break down to the public. You are a politician. You want to get in office. You got to break these things down to the public because they don't seem to be understanding that.
I want to answer that, but I want to let you finish. Because
Right.
I want to tell you, I'm not so sure I want to get in that office. I'm not so sure I want to pursue this anymore. On the 19th of November, we're having a meeting in Bamboo number 1 from 5 p.m. across from Grand Bazaar. And if we don't get 100,000 people, I done. Trinidadians by now, I have been to the length and breadth of this country. Yesterday, I went and solved a problem for people who whole road collapsed. Ask her. They were there. She and Satish was there. The minister, the member of parliament, arguing on social media that he responsible for fixing it. The people saying they begged this man for 2 years. For 2 years, all Indasing wanted was for PNM to look bad. That is the UNC modus operandi. That is the only role of opposition. Make the government look bad. Government for how long we get in office? Yeah, we win. We went, and the regional corporation people was there with a pile of dirt. And I asked them, what is this about? They say, well, they thought they was coming to fill a hole, but it's bigger than that. And I stand up and I talk with them, and they tell me that they could fix this now.
But here now, we have about 10 minutes again. What do you think about the PNM internal elections?
Who you asking me? I don't interfere with Satan and sin. What Satan did in the old time is he time. I tell Trinidad and Tobago something, Mr. Matteson, and it is important that I say this. When you all talk earlier, when we made a joke about outlawing vaginas, when you spoke,
I didn't make that joke. I don't want to outlaw vagina. I want thing me, I want to outlaw.
tomorrow, next Thursday, Matteson
Stand by his statement.
next Thursday, Matteson come into the show. Free the vaginas.
Yeah, me I want to outlaw no vagina.
Outlaw them.
I don't want to
Set
play.
them free. Watch that. Open the phone lines. Open the phone lines. What's the number?
4998382.
4998382. 4998382. We had to go all extra to make up for the time that we lost. So we will give them an extra half hour in the calls. 4998382. If you agree with Matteson's position, What's your position? All vaginas should be free?
No, I didn't say that. I problems.
Oh my God, I can't do
Okay,
right
but
now.
I'm saying this. When you said earlier that somebody said that women's choices and all that is when we made that joke. what I'm
Yeah,
saying-
women's
Right.
A big
Right.
fanatic
From
said
saying
that
to Trinidadians, they have to know.
women had to watch the breeding monsters and
Taking
the
calls.
complaining about crime.
Okay,
That's
but,
what she said.
But Trinidadians,
okay.
what you have
But to me-
what you have to say is to Trinidadians on the whole, if you're voting for this and you're getting this,
Yeah.
if you're voting
Slide it
this,
across.
slide it across. Hello, you're live? Open the mic. The call is here. Just now, caller. Hold on. David Welch, drop his shoe. Caller. You hearing us, caller?
By speakerphone.
Speakerphone would help.
Did you put it in there?
Caller. Caller. Hey, Mitz boy. I have you on speakerphone. Hold on. David, you getting him at all? Alright, so you have to take this. You can take this case
Take it
out.
off. Yeah. Slide it off.
Alright. Just now, eh? It's a really a rum shop. Like somebody else calling me, they calling my phone. Try that now. Mitz, talk to me. Give me a mic now. Give me a loose mic now. Hello, good day. You have a loose mic you can give me?
Oh, Lordy.
Stand by, Mr. Brown. Alright, speakerphone. Talk to me again. I hear you. Are you getting it on the TV? All right. Yeah. Sorry for the delays.
I just want to tell you this Rumshot program is one of the best ever, but it's still almost every time I get chat off, you know I work. The problem is still issue. When I couldn't on there, what you can join you episode.
Anytime, brother. You know that your space here.
Yeah, concerning the actual situation, you know, as a preceptor officer holding a firearm and stuff, why they make it so difficult for a preceptor officer to have a FUL? I find it so ridiculous because we done 10 firearms already and now it's
But exactly,
every time.
it is a level of stupidity that is outclassed only by other stupid actions. Thank you for calling, my brother.
Alright, cool, but we take it easy. You'll have a good evening.
You too.
You and the panel.
Hello, good evening. You're live.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, you're live.
Right, I know I'm live. I was just now listening to your program, the Rum Shop program there.
You're live on the Rum Shop. David, change the number on the screen. Just put my number. Actually, both, but put my number too. 682-2110. Talk to me, brother.
Right.
You have a minute.
Here
Make
we
it
go,
count.
right? Yeah. The discussion that all I had just on with the police officers, if they do anything wrong, to charge them and whatnot and thing, right? Now here we're going on. If you're going to charge a police officer, where does that money coming from? Not from the government itself?
From the state,
Not
from the
from
taxpayers' pocket.
At the moment.
From the taxpayers'
At
money?
the moment.
Yeah, from
Why?
taxpayers.
But the AG
Right.
is they are working on a bill right now which would allow for persons to sue,
The actual officer.
or to prosecute the actual officer,
But why is that?
Right.
which will be
Right.
better. It will be a deterrent from officers doing crime.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
not, you're,
abusing
you're not
authority.
getting locked up for murder, but you can get charged $20,000. I see the
Right.
deterrent.
Right. Now, hear what? Now, a police officer is getting a salary at the end of the month. Right? At the end of the month now, here we're going on. Why don't that salary that they are getting reduce that salary from the crime that they did? And all the benefits that they had, cut it out.
Once convicted, I don't see why not. They should, in fact, in the United States of America, you would lose your pension automatically. Thanks a lot for that, my friend. That was a good suggestion. If you're convicted of a crime, Ravi, you could call back. If you're convicted of a crime, you would lose your pension. That should not be something that you. I guess I'm a certain kind, though.
I don't know, maybe different states have different rules with respect to police officers, but police officers in particular in the United States have held to very high standards.
Of all the things we
Right?
talk about, this
You
is
can't
the
talk to
thing.
people anyhow. You can't just kick people like what we do in Trinidad,
Unless
slap
you-
people and
Unless,
hit
your name is,
people.
unless your name is George Floyd.
Yeah,
Or you can
yeah.
make a statement like that.
Assault
Trayvon
people,
Martin.
yeah.
Plenty of people
No.
were assaulted by police.
It happens, but you saw how much cameras was on them.
But
yeah,
how much
that was
did
more of race issues. It's not like
Yeah.
those
But what I'm
people
saying is,
Wait,
they still.
you can't make a broad brush statement like that. And
No,
then
I'm not saying. I'm not saying for the
Rodney
most part.
King- Rodney
Yes, no.
King comes
Listen,
to
we
mind.
understand that, but for the most part, police officers in the U.S. I've been there. I see how they operate. You ask them, they are more. They seem to be more polite and more
have
generally
more training.
more understanding of the human being and the expectations of people. Sometimes you ask a police a question and they brush you off in a roadblock or so. You say, officer, well, what is the problem? And you sit down there and wait now. You know that kind of thing. Sometimes in what we need in Trinidad and Tobago is more people-centered policing.
But I want to say to you, in response to that, the reason it happens is because the Internal Affairs Department of the United States and of all those police departments, if you go and make a report on a police officer that something like that went on, they will take action against the police officer and they don't want that. Hello, good evening, you're live.
Yes, good evening. Good evening, Mr. Alexander. This is George Shadow MP for Princess Sound Colony.
Yes, my friend.
Right. I just want to say that, and I want to tell everybody that looking at this program that Trinidad could fix. We could fix Trinidad. But we had to be willing to put in the work and we had to be willing to put an administration in place that has Trinidad at heart.
Agreed.
Right? And I want to tell everybody who listening and who seeing the social media posts, we can't fight on social media. We need to come out, and we need to come out on the 19th of November, and we need to come out and show that we are disgusted by what's taking place. Right? We had a budget presented, and we have more difficulties now than 10 years ago. So, appealing to the population, let's come out and...
Correct.
Thank you, my friend. Have a good night.
Wait a minute.
What do I do now?
And an answer.
Did I end everybody? Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening, you're live. Hello, you hearing me?
Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, you're on the Rum Shop Talk.
Yes, I just want to say one thing, that this entire country needs to be totally outraged at whatever this is that's passing for governance. And remember Trinidad and Tobago, on November 19th, please come out on your numbers at Bamboo number 1 opposite Grand Bazaar from 5 p.m.
Thank you for that.
Unite and fix this country, reboot the republic, one people under one
I
flag.
like all of that. Ooh, nice. Say it just as you run out of money on the phone.
No,
And-
that's my to feed the dog, sorry.
You alarm to feed the dogs. You're in a mess. You know, you can't just watch the dog and see that, hey, I feed yesterday.
No.
No,
gosh.
but on a
How
more
much
serious
time?
note, with respect to this, if the government, to me, is a good start with respect to what the revolution that was made by the AG with respect to the legislation that they are planning to make police officers responsible. To me, it's a good start.
wanna
But
say-
they have to do other things,
wanna-
and those other things would be back it up with
I still don't
body
understand
cam and all that kind of thing, because people need to
All
be
of
held
that. All
responsible.
of that. Hello, good evening, you're live. I want to answer you. Hello, good evening, you're live.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Yes.
Phillip, Alexander. Phillip, I am impressed with the way how you think about things, but there's one question I'd like you to address in terms of, let's just say tomorrow you get the mandate. How are you going to deal with the secrecy of the Chief Justice, who seems to be beholden high officials
All right.
in the judiciary?
I want to say to you, and you can listen off here, that all public office holders should be held to the same high standard.
No, but the Chief Justice, you remember we have separation of powers in
Absolutely
Trinidad and
do, but
Tobago,
there
right?
are
So
ways,
the Chief
there are
Justice
ways to
is-
investigate. The whole law association. Hello, good evening, you're live.
Mr. Hello, good evening. And good evening, my extension to everybody on the program there tonight.
You hearing me?
Yes. What did he say just now? What did I answer? Yes, we hear
Right.
you.
So I want to highlight an issue that contributes to the flooding in the whole east of Trinidad, Taisani Grande, Guayco, Urupuch, Tamana, Manzalina. The biggest issue that contributes to this is the drenching of the river. 2-3 times for the year, you will see an excavator by the north on the North Urupuch Road. Right, I have 2 bridges.
Sorry, and I want to interrupt you, and I apologize for that because everybody have like a minute. But if you could WhatsApp me to this number, everything that you're saying, I will share it publicly. You willing to do that for me?
Okay. All right. Thanks. Thanks so much.
For
Have a
calling
good
in.
night.
Sorry about the short. We didn't know we'd get so much calls. So next
Okay, no
time,
problem.
next week Thursday, we will open it earlier, and I apologize. But thanks a lot for your call.
Okay, I'll send you a message immediately.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Hello. Good evening, Eli.
Good evening, Mr. Alexander. Good evening, panel. I just want to wait real quick on this. What if we force, make it mandatory that police officers pay for a type of malpractice insurance? That way we guarantee to get the money. And with them paying a premium to the insurance company,
See?
you'll find that the insurance companies now will pressure the government into enforcing rules to minimize their payouts.
The government
So,
might have to
like
indemnify.
enforcement of body cams, enforcement of proper internal affairs review. Because once the big
I want to
boys
tell you
have money at the
something,
place,
Paula. Everything you just suggested could be solved by voting the Progressive Empowerment Party in the office
Of
because
course,
then
of
you
course.
guarantee that you'll get internal affairs. But I like your idea, and listen off here. We're going to discuss your idea right now. Okay?
all right.
Thank you very much.
That in my
How will you
opinion is
stop this
is an excellent idea.
What to do with this?
But then the government
Wait.
may have to fund that.
No, I'll never tell you.
The government may have to fund
I
that.
now remember what I wanted to tell you just now. I'm not answering no question to tell you this. I have a partner, his name is Edmund Moy. Edmund Moy tell me when he was young, this was his policy. If he go to a party and inside the party they have no nice girls, he will immediately walk outside of the party, drop his standards and go back in. That is how you operate. Your standards so low. You want to give this government credit for something. Government passing a law where you could sue police who do wrong, but we're not prosecuting them for the wrongdoing.
This is what I don't understand.
That is the first step.
That's what I don't understand. So I could be a police and go and kill somebody, and it has to.
I want to know what's going on with the police
I don't
officer who killed the
understand.
man for the necklock.
No,
I don't
I'm
understand.
saying.
You
I'm
know, remember
saying-
that? What happened with that? I hear there's a PCA investigation.
Right.
That was supposed to be a
Supposed to
criminal
get-
investigation.
Exactly.
You pull out a gun and kill an unarmed man. How was your
That's
life in
madness.
danger? You and he was fighting. From the moment you pull out the gun, you had him off you.
I am in no way saying that people shouldn't be held responsible or people shouldn't be prosecuted. This is exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying they should. But I'm saying that the government seems to be now looking to put some kind of mechanism to make that easy, to facilitate that, to make that easy.
But there was an easier mechanism.
Lock them up on time.
Prosecute wrong
Yes, no. But are they doing it right now? What they're doing? What if
So they're not-
just now? Allow me. If a police officer does something wrong, and he has to be sued, he could be sued, anybody could be sued, but they sue the state, they sue the attorney general.
So let me talk about the malpractice insurance.
The
Malpractice insurance.
The malpractice insurance is good,
The
but the
government-
government may end up having to fund that.
Not exactly, because police can afford, the rates will go so high to the roof, insurance companies may not want to cover it. Because every time that there is a claim, the cost to the insurance company goes up.
Exactly, and what would yeah. No, because he might make me
Don't give him more. Don't give him more at all. Don't give him more at all. No, but brother, I want to say this, and I want to tell the person who called me the malpractice idea.
So you know
allow me.
Okay.
Nah, I just wanted to use that. Talk your talk.
No, but you know, I mean,
He just tell me that all the time.
you know, there are so many things that happens that sometimes police, a simple thing like, you know, the police, there was a judgment, I think it's the appeals court, or I can't remember if it's the appeals court or the Privy Council.
They will be still
judgment,
taking calls, sorry.
which says that the EMA cannot shut down a FET
Okay.
for noise pollution. They can't.
Okay.
The police can't do that either.
Do you know that in the United States of America, the law is simple? If I
They
did,
can fine you.
they
But
don't
they can't
need-
shut it up.
No,
No, but you're supposed
see
to
the
get
device?
approvals from
You
before
see, in
anyway.
Trinidad, since they passed the EMA Act, they have a device that they have to have and record and check decibels,
Yeah,
nonsense. If the police could hear your audio 300 feet from where your audio is, shut you down. Turn it down or shut you down. Those are your options. Let me tell you something.
But there's a judgment recently.
That's in Trinidad.
Yes.
That's in Trinidad.
There's a judgment recently that says that you cannot do that.
That's in Trinidad. Because all of it is set up to fail. I end up famous with a song "Gunman in Your Hole." Remember that? Because I went to a place where they was having a party in Simeon Road in Pity Valley. That somebody get a license to have a party till 12 noon the next day and hire police to work in the party and bombard the whole West Valley with real zest.
So you say as soon as you get up in the morning, gunman in your hole.
Listen, man.
9 o'clock in the morning.
7 o'clock, boy, my phone ringing Indian arrival day. I have about 100 missed calls. The whole of the West calling me. You ain't hearing what's going on. People cussing me. What you doing? Why you not here? I say, all you call the police, all you call the army, all you calling me. So I gone down there and I trying to get it. I called Gary on the phone. He was the commissioner at the time. He said, boy, I find out the man get a license till noon the next day. I said, how is that possible? And I called the EMA. I get on to the person in the EMA. It was a holiday. You're not supposed to be able to. I get that person's cell number. They say, Mr. Alexander, I watching your live video. And I feeling for the people in the West and we want to come. But the problem is we only have one device for measuring it. And right now it's in Sangre Grande.
Oh,
so if we leave here with the device from Sangre Grande, by the time we get there,
Fed done.
It's noon. The Fed went on. So now I sarcastically say, well, you see, this is why the country is a mess. And I walking away to my car, and a song start to play. Gunman in she hole, she like that. So what that man say? Gunman in she hole, they like. That's what the man was saying. And I watch the camera. I say, you see, living in your house, trying to raise your family in a law-abiding manner, 9 o'clock in the morning, gunman in your home. That went viral. They re-released the song with that. That is now the opening line of the song. People there's a woman named, there's a UNC sycophantic troll named Jen Tattenbaum. I don't know that's her real name. Because she had one picture 42 years now on social media. But she dogged me. And she telling people, I write the song Gunman in Your Hole. You see the power of stupidity sometimes outstrips people's right to think rationally.
Living in your house, trying to raise your family in a law-abiding manner, 9 o'clock in the morning. Gunman in your hole. Gunman in your hole. Gunman in your hole. Gunman in your hole.
I know him on my Instagram account. I call Satish. I say, Satish, we viral on Instagram. We on Instagram. None of us. We are 20 and 30. We are on TikTok. So we have to find somebody who has Instagram. Serious. And to find out that they had remixed the song and sell it out like that. And it went viral. Anyway, tonight's show, I know it was a good show. People enjoy the Rum Shop Talk because we really do give them the lightest and the serious issues, but we touch on the serious issues. That's something I actually wanted to talk about, and I wanted to, I think, why we have a last 10 minutes. The student violence in the country, brother. The former president, former Prime Minister Robinson's wife, damn daughter get chopped down in the street.
That's indicative of the lawlessness that pervades the society. And I know I was reading an article in 2004, the World Bank had warned Trinidad and Tobago about that. About that in the education system. And the thing is, if the Ministry of National Security continues to operate like chickens without head, this will only get worse.
We have no leadership in the country.
We have no
I saw a video today of a teacher trying to get control of a classroom, and this student opposing the teacher. Now, if that woman teacher was a part of my family, I tell her, quit her work today. we gotta go and sell Polori around the savannah, but you can't be putting your life at risk like that. You don't know.
But a teacher really wanted to oppose a student.
Exactly. So how is discipline?
No, they literally don't like to deal with
dangerous.
them.
I mean, it's better you walk out the class or whatever, because you ain't going on. One, you had the parents to deal with. Then you had the system to deal with. And then you had the student who might stab you or do you something.
Because it don't end in the classroom.
And unfortunately.
Next thing you know, you win.
No,
Yes.
go ahead.
No, I see David running the clip here.
Oh.
But next thing, we have audio.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you as the teacher win in the classroom, and they come for you outside.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a serious thing. We have
We've lost
If it is
control.
children like
Lost
that, could be
control.
like
We've
that.
lost
You don't want to
control.
deal with their parents
And
either.
it all have to do with the lack of vision.
Lack of leadership.
The lack of leadership,
Correct.
the lack of a vision, a mission, and a strategic objective.
Agreed.
Run the country like how you run a
They've
successful
lost.
company.
Agreed. They've lost control. Hello, good evening. You're live. You have 1 minute.
Hello, good evening, Ramshop. Short and sweet, Shawna calling in. I'm of the firm belief that Mr. Faraz Rawi is doing more harm to Trinidad and Tobago than he's Rowley. What I wanted to ask from you, Philip, is that, one of the means we could put a bed to his foolishness is that the same way we Sarah Tucker thing tries to get each to step down, could we somehow get Faraz to be debarred from practicing law? That'll put us up to his wasting of spending money, So
I want to tell you. Now, listen to me off here. I want to tell you. The solution is on the 19th of November. Come out in your numbers to bamboo number 1, and the mic will be available. The people who trying to call in now, the mic will be available to the public on that day. Come and talk your talk. If that event have to run 24 hours, you run in 24 hours. Let everybody have their say hello, good evening, you're live. Hello, good evening, you're live. They're talking, but they're not talking into their phone. Hello, good evening, you're live. Speak into the phone. I think I'm the worst host for answering call, talking to the phone. You don't know like your child. What you tell me? No, but there is a complete. They've lost the control of the country. What has to happen? What has to happen again for Trinidadians to realize? I see a video.
And they have the kikes walking around telling people that stop dealing with bandits and breeding monsters, because that's the problem. But they was dealing with bandits and breeding monsters all the time when UNC was in office and crime was down. They was dealing with monsters and breeding bandits when they was dealing with bandits and breeding monsters when
No, but
monsters is not a function of sex. Monsters is a function of failed ideology, lack of policy, and complete breakdown of leadership in this country. But I was going to tell you, I saw a video of a gang fight taking place in the food court in Trin City Mall. Imagine you and your family there eating a little KFC, take your shameless plug. Eating a little chicken and chips. Or a little, what they have what I eat when I go there? I eat a tandoori hut. Sell you a wrap, you get 2 wraps.
Yeah, that's nice.
It stays good. The fish wrap, I like the fish. Anyway, you're there and you're eating, and fight break out, you and your family there, you are a scamper. Hello, good evening, you're live.
Hello?
Yes, hello, good evening.
You hearing me good?
Yes, we are.
Oh, because I find them I called before, and then I realized people calling and again problem.
It's in the rough phone, you want to throw it away? Talk to me.
Yeah, with the clip just now with the young boy. If matter of fact, that will not be my child, they won't be in that day, right? So, I'm done with that day. Because parenting is the main thing, right? That is one. And with the situation with the police, with this, hello?
Listening to you, sir.
Right. With the random tickets and the merit points, we're destroying some of the drivers and the delivery drivers.
Well, you have 30 seconds. You have 30 seconds. Hello? Bring it. You have 30 seconds left. Other people want to get in.
Right, you hear me?
Yes, you have 30 seconds.
Right? What about that? What going on with that? Besides all the rest of things.
And that's the next week Tuesday show. We'll talk about the demerit points, right?
Yeah, kind of
very unnecessary.
Absolutely. Hello, good evening, you're live.
Hello, good night, Mr. Alexander. Florida calling here. So, watching the program as usual, enjoying it. A little point I want to make here. In America, when you have some standing...
Listen to you.
Our goodly, what's his name there?
Which one of the clowns?
Minister of National Security.
Hines.
Sorry. Yes, Minister of National Security there. And when you have such damning evidence against him, we call that the smoking gun. It means now that is outright misbehavior in public office, and he is dealing with a man who is supposed to be an independent entity. But in Trinidad, the papi show does just,
Correct. Now, who should I call?
So,
Tonight, you and I find this out. Who should I call? The Easter Bunny? The Tooth Fairy? Santa Claus? Who in Trinidad and Tobago could I call when the people I want to report are in the government?
And that is where the problem is. And Trinidad and Tobago, they don't like what is going to be said, but the fact remains
that pause for a second. Anytime somebody say that you're not going to like what's going to be said, I want to tell you, don't say it.
Allow him to
Yeah, but I don't want them to say things like that and it's come across wrong. And you laughing and you know. But I want to tell you something. Felicia Holder number is 7694590. Please. I know you're in Florida. We're having a big event on the 19th of November. Call her and make a deposit, a little donation. We need the help. Thank you, my friend. Have a good day. When people say they're not going to like what they're going to say, if you're in charge of the airwaves, you can't let them say it.
Yeah. Well, he probably was anyway.
People just borderline racist talk, When you hear people call and refer to as parenting, yes, it is parenting, but it is not only parenting. There are a lot of parents in this country that, unfortunately,
it has a lot to do with parenting.
But there is a lot. Are you a parent?
Yes. But
and you know that there are a lot of things that impact on parenting, socio-economic.
Exactly.
Okay.
This is what I was going to say. So it have other things that impact it, right? Like ability to afford certain things, that will help.
But
still, people still make a choice as a parent. And I'm just saying this, I'm a young parent and I didn't have $1 million jillion. So even though you're in a bad situation socially, economically, you still make a choice to teach your child the right thing. Don't hit an ex-kid.
Correct.
And it
but
just,
social influences come to bear.
True.
When your child leave your house, you know most parents dealing with children who come home pregnant or the boy get locked up because they get in some kind of fight. You do your best. But social influences, raising children in the days of social media, where children getting a million things affecting them daily in their minds.
You see, one of the things people do understand,
David Welch telling me wrap it up.
Hello,
good evening, you're live.
Phillip, it is Paul. I'm here and I don't know where your place is.
All right, well, Paul, we're wrapping up the show right now. David Welch coming outside here, so stand by.
Right? The thing is, what I want to say is that while it is parenting, it also has a lot to do with the fact that if you think about if you think about the fact that a lot of parents who are at the lower strata of society,
they're challenged.
They are challenged.
Good evening,
they are challenged even.
It's a generational
Good evening,
they are challenged because most of them have to be on work all the time. The children are not.
Stand by.
Correct.
You're on Rum Shop Talk?
Yeah, good night, Rum Shop. So I'm calling back at a second time. I'm just watching you live there and I saw your lady in the studio. I think I caught her name is Indira.
Yes.
I just had to say, I called back and say, I just think I just really cute Indira. You are so cute. I just had to call back and tell
you take up my call. Interrupt Stephen Matheson. You interrupt Mr. Matheson. You should be ashamed. It's not that she cute, David Welch using filters on the camera. You can really see her. Come turn on that phone.
You too, bro. I'm so sorry.
What I'm saying is, a lot of
parents like that in society. It's a serious show.
A lot of parents, right? A lot of parents. While it is a parents thing, But a lot of parents are challenged because they are sometimes have to do not 2 and 3 jobs, but they are on work all the time for small money.
Yeah.
They don't have anybody to take care of the children, so the children are largely unsupervised for a long period of time.
And if they are supervised by some people,
as a result of that, the kind of socialization that needs to be taking place, not taking place. So it have to do with economics.
But I want to agree with you.
It's a generational thing too.
But I want to agree with you. The children of Westmoreland, Bayshore, Gulfview, Valsayn are exposed to the same things that the children of Morvan, Beetham, Laventel, Sealots, and Bacaday, Edinburgh 500 are exposed to. But if you go home to a home where, as you say, socioeconomics allow the parents to have a conversation with you, they have plenty of people, good and decent people, working 2 and 3 jobs just to keep their children having somewhere to live and food to eat.
Exactly.
And so they're not having the opportunity to educate them and raise them properly and explain to them.
Or they can't pay for a nanny to do it like you might be able to do it in Westmoreland, or that kind of thing.
The assumptions it is made.
No, I'm just saying.
The assumptions it is made.
I'm just saying.
I remember I was on a show once with a fella named Hugh. His name is, they call him Ghost. And Ghost say, he know I have one in the fridge with one of them thing you press and ice this come out of it. How you could make an assumption like that? How you could just look at a man and tell what kind of fridge he have? And call her from Shagonas. Call her from Shagonas. Have some decency. Some brought up see. You interrupt a serious conversation and have to tell Mr. Matterson, stand by.
I know.
And you call him to pips. In the room.
I write here. I only surely pips.
Well, as you know, it's a rum shop. Time to wrap up. Yeah? Anything else? We left anything out? The student violence thing, though, we have to return to that. I mean, we talk about the parenting and the failure of society. And you said something earlier, and we need to remind Trinidadians that everything that is governance is supposed to work together to make the country functional for the citizens. Correct. It is not rocket science. It is service, delivery of basic services to the highest possible standard. You're not supposed to be putting friends, financiers, or political cronies in government positions, head of the regional authorities, head of the regional corporations. That's the problem.
Plenty square pegs
in wrong holes. What you need to put from the government minister down must be people who understand the role. Fitzgerald Hines does not understand his role. Carl Mimbert does not understand his role. Faris Al-Rawi does not. Armour doesn't even understand legal ethics. These people are challenges to governance. Keith Rowley surrounded himself by some people stupider than him, and the bar wasn't set high by him in the beginning in the first place. So you end up with a government that incapable. Now and I want to say, we're bringing into the show Dr. Paul Alexander, and he's going to have 5 minutes. Don't throw around the studio. Yeah? David Welch.
Don't put your hand
Don't
there.
put on camera.
That fella from Shogunas.
Come on the side.
That problem.
The man, the caller from Shogunas will come and look for you. And they come on the side. No. You're in the country, and plenty people have asked. You can just give me the mic. You can't just give me the mic in your hand. All right. Plenty people have asked. You can look into that camera there. So, Stephen Matterson, you met my brother.
Yeah. How are you? Yeah.
You could hold this mic. The rest of us wired in.
I was in San Grande a couple of weeks ago, and a family told me that they took so much counsel from you, Dr. Alexander, during COVID. And they were saying that they followed almost to the T what you were saying.
Your recommendations.
With respect to the as a healthy person, and why maybe you should consider if you need take the vaccine as opposed to just going and take it. And they said that in a large way that would have saved certain family members, because they know certain family members had certain challenges with blood pressure and certain kind of blood, and as a result of that they are alive today. And they knew of persons who would have taken the vaccine and take it again and take it again and take it again and got sick and sick and sick again until they died.
So plenty of people owe you a debt of gratitude for that, for the information for the public space. Unfortunately, you are so very late, you have 5 minutes.
Okay,
So you can look at that camera and you can talk for your 5 minutes.
All right, so after talking to the camera,
You can look at me, you can look at Stephan, but
after talking to the mic?
Yeah, because you're not wired, you're not hooked up. David Welsh.
Well, look, the bottom line is this, right? I mean, first of all, thank God I'm in Trinidad, Tobago, my place of birth, and my family. And you guys know Phillip. Phillip has broadcast everything that the passing of our dad. So it's a very difficult time, and we're grieving that. But look, so that's why I'm here. But here's the issue. We know quickly that we had early treatment available. People like myself, Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Harvey Reis, Dr. Zev Zelenko, Dr. Ursula Dapo, etc. We put together the treatment algorithm, antivirals with corticosteroids, antiplatelets, etc. And it really was very impactful because we knew the data. It showed that it reduced the risk of hospitalization and death to particularly high-risk people who were vulnerable. And it's been very, very successful. But the key is treatment in the correct window. In other words, if a person is far along the disease sequelae, so they're about 10 days after symptom onset, you can't be really focusing on antivirals at that point because viral replication already completed. You need to get into that person is in the breathing difficulty, florid pneumonia, acute respiratory distress syndrome. So they need corticosteroids, they need high-dose aspirin, heparin, etc. because COVID emerged more as a blood clotting illness with microthrombi across the blood and not as much as a respiratory illness. But the key here is with the vaccines. Let me just talk to you quickly. The data on the vaccine shows it's really a gene injection, and shout out to Dr. Michael McDowell, who I met here and one of the great people in Trinidad. The vaccine has failed. This gene injection has failed on the Omicron complete. I mean, it wanes in about a week to 2 weeks. And basically, with the way we are looking at it is you may need a booster potentially every day. But the boosting confers no protection on you. And what we are trying to say now is this, that from the very beginning, that they did not do the proper studies to show the safety of this product. And we have many people across the world who have taken this and have died post-shot. The deaths, we are actually seeing a bimodal distribution, that the deaths accumulating around the first 7 to 10 days, flattens out, and then peaks again about 5 to 6 months post-shot. And what we're seeing is a lot of severe illness with the third shot, which is the first booster, the fourth shot, which is the second booster, and the fifth shot. We just had the CDC director, Rochelle Walensky, took a fifth shot and she got reinfected. The vaccine does not work. It is causing the vaccinated person to become infected. That's a huge, huge problem, and not only reinfected, severe illness, and in some instances, death.
So, Dr. Alexander, stop for a second. So, would you agree with anyone who said that the regime that third world countries, especially Trinidad and Tobago, would have followed, would have been responsible for the lives of probably thousands of persons?
Well, Africa has won, and if you look at the infections, particularly with this fifth wave in the African countries, look at South Africa as an example. The fifth wave Omicron, in response to the infectious pressure from Omicron, is almost flat. It's just a little blip and flatten out. No deaths. Why? Because the African community, because of poverty, because the first world countries didn't give them vaccine to begin, they were able to buy time. And with that time, the immune system was trained, the innate immunity particularly, especially of their children and young people, against the virus. So they don't need no vaccine. And now what you're seeing is Africa has won. And the problem we are having is this. You have the government in the Caribbean, across the Caribbean islands, with the public health officials who were flat wrong. The government officials in Trinidad, the health authorities in Trinidad, the Minister of Health, Chief Medical, I have followed them. Not just in this island, in Barbados, in the Bahamas, in every island. They have been flat wrong, complete, 100%. They followed the WHO, they followed PAHO, every single COVID policy, every lockdown in the world, every school closure, every mask mandate failed.
No, and I want to say
They all
this,
fail.
and I need to interrupt for a minute just to say this, because unfortunately on a Thursday night, Felicia Holder's show, the Business Affiliates, comes on at 8 o'clock, and they have to do all of their tests and everything. So,
Yes.
the next time you're here, you're going to come on time and take part in the show.
Well-
But I know Trinidadians will remember the night that I had you and Stephen Matheson on when the government was threatening the public servants, and the information that you all
Public
put in-
servants with what?
with the furlough if they don't come.
If they don't come with what? Just tell me quick. Vaccine?
No, we dealt with it.
we
I'm
dealt
just
with
saying.
it
I'm
and-
just saying that they
No,
remember.
they were saying that they were attempting to
The advice
make
you
it
and-
mandatory for public
The
servants
advice
to
both
take.
of you all gave that
They
time.
gave take vaccine?
to take the
But all the
vaccine.
countries in the world, all of the countries removing their vaccine mandates for the public health,
No, that
for
was-
the
that
public
was then.
That was
servants.
back
during
then.
the-
That was
the-
back
the
then. That
COVID.
was back then. What I'm saying is, a lot of the public will remember you and him on a show with me, where you all gave a lot of good advice that stopped it, and that was really, really
Well,
good.
let me just end by saying there's a nasal oral wash that we stumble upon. Sadly, we stumbled upon it too late. In our treatment algorithm, now we revise it, the early treatment, we put it above. It's called, it's a nasal wash called povidone iodine that you could buy over the counter, 10% solution. It's what those surgeons use to clean wounds before they cut. It's the strongest chemical we know. We want you to dilute it, povidone iodine. If you don't like the taste, it's about 3 tablespoons with 500 ml of water, boiled water, sterilized water, and you mix it up, put it in, swish it around, spit it out. No swallow, no swallow. If not, use oral hydrogen peroxide. It cleans out the oral cavity, the virus, all virus or pathogen hangs up in the gum line, cleans it out. You dip a Q-tip, move it around, and you take that Q-tip and you clean the inside of the nostrils. It will clean all the pathogen there. It is the one thing that we know of today will even stop you having to use early treatment. It stops the infection and reduces the risk of mortality by almost 100%. Nasal oral washes. That's it.
And I want to say to Dr. Paul Elias Alexander, thank you very much for that. Stephen Matheson, we have to bring it to a wrap and a close before Ms. Holder's guest had to come and sit on our lap. So,
Right, so today was again a very good program. Very, very informative. Yes, and we had
you have no idea.
finishing Dr. Alexander. Right, so take it away.
Trinidad and Tobago, tonight.
He's the only person that has get one walk off the show.
Right after the show going on, sit down. That is the producer, David Welch. You're giving the man, so much high blood pressure. Anyway, every Thursday the Rum Shop Talk gets better, and we are hoping next week to follow up on some of the things that the callers call and raise. So we bring that issue to you. By next week, we will be starting on time at 5 o'clock, or we will send, what will be the penalty for David Welch? We will come up with a penalty and tell you, right? So, yeah. So, until next week, Thursday.
We in the Rum Shop. Though.
We in the Rum Shop.
I go drink the
We in the rum shop.
Yeah.
We in the rum shop.
Yeah.